This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
You're still old school with your notepad.
I know. Old habits. Never crashes though.
That's true.
For your patience. Is it still?
Does it need to be on the table?
It should be all right now.
All right, good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here again today as we continue to provide updates on the states of Nevada's recovery from the recent cyber attack. From the very beginning, I have been clear. Our top priority is restoring services that Nevadans depend on every day. That has not changed. This kind of recovery is never easy. It requires patience, precision, and constant vigilance. But I want Nevadans to know we are making real headway, and every day brings us closer to full restoration. With that in mind, I'd like to share some of our technical progress since we last updated you. First, our IT teams administered a statewide credential reset as a best practice security measure to protect all our user credentials. The statewide password reset was performed as a defensive control to cut off any compromised credentials. Nearly all employees have regained access, and others are resolving any remaining issues through self-service or their agency IT. I know that my office has received several inquiries from the media asking why state employees were not informed of the password reset ahead of time. That was by design. This was done intentionally since broadcasting a reset in advance tips off criminals and increases account takeover attempts during the changeover window. The best practice here is to execute and then communicate. After news stories about the password resets went live, we began to receive reports of phishing attempts attempting to capture state credentials in real time. Thanks to the heightened awareness from our state employees, these attempts were quickly identified and thwarted. As another example of how sensitive these public announcements are, at my first press conference discussing the attack, we defended approximately 150 million hits to our state firewalls in the following 72 hours. So I actually asked my staff, I said, how do you know it's 150? Because that's an exorbitant number. It tracks through the system numerically to ensure that that is an accurate number. For context, the state normally would face approximately 150,000 hits a day. The state has faced over 300% increase in direct attack attempts throughout the recovery operations. At this point in the recovery process, my team continues to balance transparency with operational security concerns. We are implementing stronger governance, policies, and controls across state government. The state has initiated identity hardening processes, which include requiring a stronger minimum password standard and expanding multi-factor authentication so criminals cannot reuse the old logins, the information that the employees used previously. To further assist with this, we've begun a reestablishment of remote access, or VPN, for validated users with multi-factor authentication, which restores services to the rural users. An example of that being the court systems within that environment that depend on this type of connection. We strengthen credentials across the board with the rotation of elevated service accounts and additional protections for administrator access. Additionally, we've coordinated with federal and private sector partners to safely resume high priority, secure data exchanges that support critical essential services. None of these technical recovery processes are simple, but they are working. I want to thank the state employees and partner agencies who are putting in long hours to restore these services safely. In addition to these technical recovery efforts, we also seen significant headway in restoring the state's external resources for constituents. Today, I am pleased to report that 90% of state public-facing statewide websites are back online per the governor's technology office. And the remaining few services that are not back online will continue to be prioritized for restoration in order of public safety and constituent impact. So it's important to understand. So I'm sure the question to you in the back of your mind, well, what is that other 10%? I don't have that information in front of me, but through my office and the governor's technology office, we can help walk you through those processes. The majority of the 10% are very key components of our entire system that require more due diligence before they are released. But I think it's important for people to realize 90% is monumental in the ability to provide to our constituents. At the DMV, which is the most common question presented, our most public-facing agency, Nevadans have been able to complete essential services in person since last week, such as registrations, title transfers, and driver's licenses resets or tests and renewals. The DMV is now 100% back online. Now, Uno, you asked a question last time that you had information that they were experiencing registration difficulties, is that correct? Or from some dealers? Okay, young lady in the bathroom, sorry. We researched that, and what it is that is occurring, that is the user problems. The majority of those problems have been user-identified problems. In other words, the dealerships themselves improperly filling out the paperwork associated with titles or registration, or the actual customer inundating the system to where they have a default and a reset that is required. If there are continued problems, just like any other department within the state, just contact my office and we will, constituent services, and we will, both for the media and for the general public, and we will get you to the direct department to get the answers that you seek. Additionally, I'll reiterate that our health and social service systems have remained available throughout the entire incident. Should any Nevadans have questions about their benefits, they can access Nevada DHHS websites or visit the Division of Social Services in person. The Department of Public Safety and Governor's Technology Office continues to work 24/7, and we will work through the weekend, as we have done previously, to restore the Brady background checks of the NICS system, the NICS system. That is another point of contention with both our customers and our gun dealers, but it is a public safety priority. It is a very key element in what we do in state government and ensure that bad actors do not receive a firearm inappropriately, and it's a matter of going through dotting the I's and crossing the T's within that particular system to ensure that we have success before we release its availability. I am confident that we will release that in short order. Hopefully through the weekend and continued attempts to compartmentalize that particular system, I'm hoping we can say we have success come Monday. Notice.nv.gov is online. So what is that system? That's the notice to constituents and different agencies that public meetings are taking place. It's the requirement of NRS that a public notice be provided. That particular online access or tool is available as we talk. This is in order to notify constituents and public meetings notices during this downtown. Agencies complied with this is an important piece of that because it wasn't online. We had to comply via NRS on how we notify individuals of public notice. And that was through NRS 241020. So the 3 steps on that is posting on agency websites, distributing via stakeholder lists, and conducting physical postings within our facilities. Additionally, we continue to update our recovery website so that Nevadans can access all state information from a central secure notice. Every state agency is functioning, serving constituents, and available for constituent assistance. Also, I want to reiterate, we still have not seen any evidence of constituent PII, personal identifier information, being compromised in this attack. As I said last time, if investigators eventually discover otherwise, we will follow Nevada's strict statutes about personal data breaches by notifying any affected individuals promptly and providing resources to help protect them. Nevadans should know this: while we are not yet at the finish line, we are moving there faster than expected. We will continue to be transparent about what we can responsibly share. When operational details could enable copycat attacks or interfere with the federal investigation, we will hold that information back until it's safe to release. That balance protects Nevadans. Nevada has faced challenges before, and every time we come through stronger. This will be no different. Similar to our last press conference, I'm unable to answer any questions today about the technical elements of the attack, the identity of the attackers, or anything about the ongoing nature of the federal investigation. However, I am happy to answer any questions about our involving recovery operations. With that, I'll entertain questions.
Governor Victoria here with Fox 5. You kind of talked about, I'm so sorry, let me start over. Victoria here with Fox 5. You mentioned how personal info has been compromised with residents, and what exactly did bad actors get away with? Because this is the question I asked 2 weeks ago, still early on in the investigation. What should Nevadans know?
Well, Nevada should know that what the bad actor is perceived to receive is information through our internal systems, not a public face or constituent personal information. So it's information or data that is endemic to state processes or state inventory or state databases. Right now, the breadth of that has been identified. I can't give you that information, exactly what the breadth of that is, but I am confident that we will continue to be successful in preventing further release. And I mentioned, just to build off your question there, and you jogged my memory, I did mention all our banking activity that the state does on a daily basis and through our federal partners has not been compromised.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you as a follow-up is restoring the Brady background check. What does this mean for someone trying to buy a gun or a gun dealer trying to sell a gun, the fact that this is currently down?
That means we won't be able to determine their criminal history or their ability to purchase a gun or own a gun through the federal guidelines. So until that does happen, proper sale of a firearm cannot occur.
Also, in terms of the sex registry website, when that's going to be go back up?
That's part of the 10% that I discussed earlier. Remember, that's a public safety priority, so I can't give you a definitive timeline when it will be up, but that is one of our priorities.
I know you can't mention certain details about the investigation, but since no personal information was stolen, do you guys know yet the personal goal of this cyber attack?
Well, obviously, it's a ransom, right? And to achieve monetary gain as a result of, and that's all I can give you on that information.
And finally, the last question I want to ask you, in regards to sorry to jump off topic, but the whole passing of Charlie Kirk, we just had a suspect arrested. You know, there were a few people celebrating
The ability of the First Amendment and cause continued harm, that should be addressed directly. I would support any agency that determines that an individual acted inappropriately in their capacity or employment and have them removed as soon as possible.
Hi there, Kyle from Las Vegas Sun. Talking about those phishing attempts.
I'm sorry, who are you with?
Las Vegas Sun.
Okay, hi.
Talking about those phishing attempts that came after media started reporting on the password reset. Was that from outside folks looking to take advantage, or did they have any relation to the original attack?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
The people putting in phishing attempts following that, any relation to the original attack, or those folks just outside it looking to take advantage?
No,
of what's going on?
I can't quantify it as related to the original attack. You know, as you can imagine, in that community, the bad actor community, when they're aware of an attempt on a system, no matter where it may be, obviously those people that work in that community or operate in that community take advantage of it. And so I can't put a relation to it.
Hi, this is Lucia Starbuck with KUNR Public Radio. I was wondering if there is a status update on the Access Nevada website and if people are still needing to go in person to access social services right now.
The question again, sorry.
The status of Access Nevada to access Medicaid, SNAP, other social services benefits.
That's fully functional.
Okay, thank you.
Governor, in terms
And
of
then,
the background
sorry, one more
checks,
question. I was curious if you had any thoughts on Assembly Speaker Steve Yeager's proposal to make a legislative working group to propose cybersecurity measures, and do you have any ideas of any legislation that could prevent something like this in the future?
Well, I'm sure there's legislation that can assist in preventing it. Legislation can't absolutely 100% prevent something from this happening. I would support any endeavor by the legislature to identify some sort of solution to help us in this endeavor. What does that mean? Hardware solution, software solution, monetary solution is yet to be seen, and we'll work through those nuances. It is, in my opinion, has risen to an emergency, and I think it's necessary that we address it sooner than later.
Thank you.
so Governor, in terms of the background checks, so that system being down, so there have been no gun sales since the cyber attack?
Well, you have gun sales that are happening. If you have a CCW license, it exempts you from the background check because your license provides that information. And it's a matter of practice in the state of Nevada that enables you to purchase a gun. So if you are a new gun purchaser or a recent gun exchanger from a private party, that has to still go through the process.
So the only people who have been able to purchase firearms have had that concealed weapons permit. Those are the only transactions that are going on because the background check
Correct,
system is
correct.
down.
Well, and I don't know how the private vendors are doing their, not the private, but the public vendors, you know, the gun stores, right? I don't know how they're conducting their business as a result of. They may be completing the monetary exchange or they put a back order or a hold on the firearm, but the release cannot occur until that background check is completed.
I just wanted to ask if there was an update on the victim notification program and temporary protection order databases, if any of those are back online.
Yeah, they should both be back online, to the best of my knowledge. I don't know if you're catching me off guard with that, but I have not been informed that they weren't back online. We did have some functionality issues because, as you know, you may not know, we recently changed the victim divine system statewide via a bidder offer because the previous contractor had expired. Contractors entered into a bidding system and a new vendor was awarded as a result. So I don't know if that's the complication with the new vendor or with the actual system. So I have not been notified otherwise.
Governor, a few state employees have said that they were locked out of their
accounts for multiple hours on Tuesday. Do you know like how that prolonged blackout like happened?
Well, come on, we have 25,000 employees, right? There isn't an agency in the world that can transfer the entire agency's email system seamlessly. I think our IT folks, or the GTO office, did a fantastic job addressing all the nuances of that exchange. Unfortunately, some employees were unable to work for several hours, but there's a lot of functionality with a state employee outside of your traditional email system. They have a lot of responsibilities, and you're not 100% encumbered by the failure or the inability to log into the system. You know, Mr. Sebelius, look at him, traditional pen and paper, right? I mean, that's what you have to default to as a result, overcome. Unfortunately, that some individuals were several hours, but like I said earlier today in my statements, we have come extraordinarily past that. And the reason why it was done that way is, I said, is to prevent bad actors from acting immediately during a time of vulnerability. So.
And then one more question, slightly unrelated. Has the cyber attack delayed any talks about a special session?
I'm sorry.
Has the cyber attack delayed any talks or plans for a special session?
Not necessarily. We're still in discussion about a special session, what that would look like if it was to occur. But this cybersecurity thing would be a point of conversation, definitely as a result of. So.
You mentioned that no personal identifying information has been compromised, or there's no evidence that's been compromised yet. When will we have a better understanding of when you can definitively say that there was no PII transferred off servers within this attack?
A great question, and to put it in context, the Brady system, we were talking about gun registration, we're hoping, we're actually quite confident that we can complete that process through the weekend. And I think as a result of that, a majority of all the other things and the ability to determine the PII information will occur seamlessly or synonymous to that. So.
Governor Lombardo's office, how may I help you?
Uh-oh.
Hello?
David White, and see, that's part of the 10%.
Hi, this is Lucia Sarpic again. I am still not able to access the Access Nevada website to apply for Medicaid or SNAP. Is there somewhere else you're directing people to, or should they still go in person? It's still not working on my end.
Hey, Lucia, we'll follow up with you on that. We'll connect you with the right people from Medicaid and talk you through that troubleshooting process. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you.
Just to follow up on that question real quick, the system you were just talking about that you'll be looking at over the weekend, is that, I guess, like the last possible place that that information could have been taken from?
I'm sorry?
The system you're talking about, the PII, that's going to be looked at over the weekend, is that the last possible
No,
source that you're looking at? Or?
no, not at all. All right, folks, thank you for your time. I appreciate your time. And as a matter of practice, my Chief of Staff, Ryan Cherry, and Director Galuzzi with the Governor's Technology Office will be available for any additional questions. Thank you.
You've been watching Breaking News from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.